Hello, good morning. Um, Today's weekly update is, of course, as of March 18, 2022. So you can see I am on pink because I'm recording this on a Sunday, March 20, and I am going to the Pasig Rally of Lenny Kiko tandem. Okay, anyway, may konting plug. No? So let's proceed with our weekly updates. On a snapshot, this is the PSE. Noticed that there was a big sell-off last week, about the early part of last week, and it has touched the the support line, no? um, somewhere about 6,700, but right away it bounced off. But of course, definitely you would notice that there is a big resistance at about 7,500. So that will be the near term target. For the moment, the concern is actually it is um, biased to move lower. If we're going to put a bigger zoom in, the daily chart, it would look like this. There was a sell off about Tuesday, and then it bounced off. Okay, and stayed at about 7,100, but it closed at 7,007. Okay, which is just right above the psychological support of 7,000. So what can we see over the next few weeks? Still, the resistance is somewhere here. Okay. So hindi pa siya nabe-break, and you notice that still, towards a descending pattern. More so, our MACD says so that it is still below the center line, and there's still some bias for the market to go down a little bit further. But of course, it should be going to be limited by the support line of about 6,700, for the moment. So there's still a lot of room for the market to go down, in the coming weeks. Okay. On the weekly side, I'm sorry. Um, on the weekly side, you would notice that it's clearer that the support line is still intact, and somehow there is a formation of a head and shoulders, which is very scary, but it remains to be seen whether this is going to be fulfilled or not. The weekly, on the other hand, is still on a better stance because the MACD is above the center line, so which means that it is on the stronger zone rather than on the weaker zone. Okay. So let's move on to the peso dollar exchange rate. There was not much movement last week because it stayed at about 52.30 opening and closing the week, with a little with a limited range last week. So which means that perhaps traders are looking for some more um, incentives or impetus in the market before making any solid bets. Okay, but notice that somehow at about 53, there's really somewhat resistance already. But like I said last week, somehow the overall bias of the peso dollar exchange rate is really on the favor of the dollar, considering the Russian and Ukraine tension that is still ongoing. So with uncertainties, in the geopolitical scene, normally it benefits the dollar. Okay, so nagiging bullish ang dollar. That's why, commodities went up, oil went up. So in this case, the oil actually somehow eased a little bit. So siguro meron na nag-profit taking dyan. Okay, and because it has gone up so dramatically, and I believe, it has already factored in, the negative effects of the Russian invasion, as they say. Okay. Pagdating naman sa Dow Jones, notice that last week, it actually went up, considering also that the Fed already increased their interest rates last week by 25 basis points. So it goes to show that much of the negatives in the market has already been factored in. Okay, and traders and investors are a little bit more bullish over the near term. Okay, so some critical news, like I said, the Fed hiked its interest rates last week by 25 basis points and expected there will be six more increases during the year. So this is a welcome idea despite it being having a negative impact in the market, because usually when the market is expecting the Fed to increase interest rates, it starts moving downwards already. So that when it happens, somehow it's already factored in, kaya umakyat siya. So for all those, who might be confused about the effects of this supposedly negative event. Okay. So locally, we saw the suspension or the rejection of the idea of the excise tax on fuel to be suspended. So President Digong did not welcome the idea because he knows that the negative implication of doing such. So there will be other remedial measures on how to alleviate the worries of especially those who are in the public transport sector, how to alleviate their concerns of pricing fuel without necessarily according corresponding increase in fare fare rates. uh, Foreign direct investments have reached 10.5 billion in 2021, which is an increase about 50% from a year ago. Well, we know that there's a pandemic, but despite that, continuously somehow long-term investments continue to plow into the Philippine shores. Okay, so that is good news. Okay. For the question of the week, I was asked by my friend Sheji, okay, and sabi niya, what do you think about crypto? Is it here to stay? And should we invest on it? Well, I said somehow crypto has already gone through a phase of um, acceptance and there is some traction. Not to mention that there are some coins that found a way to be utilized, in the financial market. So sabi ko, personally, okay, with my understanding about crypto, um, uh, it is most likely to stay rather than it just going to be a fad. Okay. So plus of course there is that the uh, growing, okay, sector in the NFTs, the non-fungible tokens. So wherein somehow the utilization of coins, is going to be more rationalized. Okay, so I told him that it is most likely to stay if that is the question, and I am actually into it, since 2020 when I was introduced to it by a friend. And but then I still consider it speculative because it remains to be on the mainstream, financial asset. Continuously, it's still right now in the speculative asset column, for me. Okay, but of course, for those who are in the hardcore, who are in the who believe crypto is really there, yung talagang malakas yung confidence sila, they would consider it as their main asset. For a time being, yes, perhaps it was very good, but lately, again, it has faced some challenges. The cyclical correction and bearishness of the asset, just like any other asset that will go through its boom and bust. So that was also experienced by the crypto market. So should we invest on it? Well, I suggest that you should try, putting a little bit of your money into crypto. The amount of money that you are willing to forget and perhaps even willing to lose, for that matter, because it remains to be speculative. The reason for that kind of thinking is because it's still a deregulated market, and basically it's self-regulated, and it remains to be, you have to have your trust, into the system. Okay, so kind of platform that you are going to invest in is very, very important. So that is my take with regard to crypto. Okay, so again, send your questions to rikiso at thefastexchange.com. You can actually message me through Viber and even Messenger, and through my email. Okay, huwag kayo pupunta sa website because to ask your questions, because I rarely, see, the questions. Perhaps you can also put up your questions in our Facebook page, the Fast Exchange, and of course continuously read, if you haven't read my articles in my website, www.thefastexchange.com. So that's all for now. Thank you and stay safe.